Black History Month officially begins a week from yesterday, so we thought we'd find out what one of Brooklyn's great repositories of history has in store, the Weeksville Heritage Center. There'll be exhibits, workshops, lectures, and here to tell us all about that and what's in store is Weeksville's Director of Strategic Development, DéLana Dameron-John. Welcome to BK Live, man.
Thank you.
We're twinning, so you don't have to adjust your screens. It's very in now. So Weeksville is always a great place to visit, particularly so at Black History Month when you're getting your history on. But you guys are there all the time, and you recently opened a new center last year. How's that been going?
It's been really great. I want to say, though, that at Weeksville, every month is Black History Month.
Every day.
Every day, absolutely.
We see you, Stacey Dash.
So last spring, the new Education and Cultural Arts building opened to the public at the same time that we got our new executive director, Tia Powell-Harris. And since then, we've been doing so many different programs, interpreting and preserving the history and culture of the free Black communities of Weeksville, Brooklyn. Yeah. I like to say that 2016 is probably our first full year of dynamic programming and new initiatives. Sort of now that we've gotten our feet wet in the new building, we're expanding and figuring out how best we can tell the Weeksville story and include residents in that.
Awesome. So what's the response been? You got a new building, a new director. There's lots of newness there with some historical stuff. Yeah,
the response has been really great. I think that there has been sort of a resurgence and a remembrance that Weeksville is not only a literal place, Weeksville, that is historic Weeksville, Brooklyn is a real place, but that the Heritage Center exists as a place to come and explore and experience arts, culture, education, history, and just togetherness and community. Yeah.
So everyone is paying special attention every February. The phone starts ringing, the school buses start rolling up, but Weeksville is so committed. I've been there for concerts and dancing in the summer, the new center opening. So you guys are really integrated in the community, but how do things amp up in February when the world is watching?
You know, I would say that we get a lot of school tours to come in. As you can imagine, this is a popular time for teachers to have someone else do the acculturation of Black history. And we take that on with great tour educators and programming. What happens every month, I would say, on the second Saturday is Weeksville Weekends. And this weekend, February 13th, we'll have a open house, which provides an opportunity for the community to come and get a free historic house tour of the 4 houses that remain from the historic Weeksville time. There'll be film screening and discussions, as well as later on in the evening, a play called One Drop.
Okay, so there's lots of things going on, but there's one sort of thing that caught fire, especially like in our office, in our imagination. This story of a man who was a resident at Weeksville, but he had a day job up in the Bronx, which was a very unique day job. I'm talking about Topanga. Yeah,
so I don't know that I would call it a day job. But so Topanga, as we know, was a Congolese man.
Pygmy guy.
That I would argue is not the term that he would choose for himself. Congolese man.
You're educated.
That's what we're here for.
Go out to Weeksville. I got it here.
So he was captured and brought over to the United States and was first put up in the St. Louis World Fair, where it was very popular to exhibit
curiosities from all over the world, be they human or flora or fauna.
Absolutely. And so when he left the St. Louis World Fair, he found himself, if you will, in the Bronx Zoo and an exhibit, in the orangutan exhibit. And it was, I would argue, not a great time in our history, not too recent history. In 1906, he was in the Bronx Zoo. And I would say that during that time, the Bronx Zoo experienced the highest rate of visitorship. In the month that he was there, over 250,000 visitors came to see Topanga. And you can imagine that that was not a livelihood that he wanted for himself. Eventually, he left the Bronx Zoo and came to find refuge in Weeksville in the Howard Colored Orphanage Asylum in Weeksville. So that's sort of how he came to Weeksville. And this past January, journalist Pamela Newkirk, who's also an NYU professor, came. She wrote Spectacle: The Astonishing Life of Topanga, and she came and had a very intimate conversation with community members to talk about both his time at Weeksville, his time in the Bronx, and his very short life. He only lived to be about 26.
Yeah, it was a hell of a life. I'm sure, you know, Oscar so white. This would be a story very worthy of the big screen. And on that same theme, we've gotten into sort of this discussion about where we are with race in these matters, looking at something like the Oscars and some controversial comments concerning Black history. So I wondered, Black History Month specifically, for you and your organization, how secure are you in just funding streams and staying viable as a cultural institution and really saying this is a history that we have to honor and staking a claim to it?
Yeah, you know, I think that the building is a great example of, the rediscovery of Weeksville in the early 1960s. Late 1960s was a great example of a community coming together and saying this is something that matters to us, this is something that we need to preserve, and demanding that they be preserved, which is how Weeksville is here today. And I think the new building also is sort of a second wave of community members and national community members coming together and saying this is a place that matters to us and that we should preserve and keep here. And now that we're operating inside the space, there's this moment to say all of the pieces are here. Let's keep this organization and this history ours and open to the public to come and experience history and learn about one of the first free Black communities in New York City. And so as with, I would argue, niche culturals as Weeksville exist, funding isn't as fluid as we would like it to be, but we have these moments to really engage the community and get them excited about keeping Weeksville here and keeping Weeksville for them. And one of those moments that we're really excited about is our quarter sessions, which is a quarterly party for you know, young professionals to come and be reconnected to Weeksville.
Well, speaking of reconnection, you've gone from that discovery to this revitalization, and there's another wave, which is like the ambassador program, shoring up for the next generation. Tell us about the ambassador program.
So the Weeksville ambassadors are, as I said, young professionals who have gathered together and said, we want to support Weeksville in its mission of preserving the free Black communities of Weeksville, as well as being the future generation of future stewards of this organization. We have two co-chairs, Jessica Lynn of Arts.Black and Ali Rosa Salas to lead out those efforts and fundraising. Phenomenal.
So if you want to get involved with the ambassador program, or you just want to visit Weeksville and get your Black history on any day of the year,
absolutely,
where should folks go?
They should go to our website at www.weeksvillesociety.org. They should come tomorrow to our quarter sessions at Weeksville Heritage Center from 6 to 9 p.m. We have free pizza and cupcakes for those who come.
Done.
I mean, right?
Go carbo load at Weeksville.
Yeah, and a DJ, DJ Run P, and a featured artist, Princess Nokia, will also be there, and about 130 other young professionals in New York City who also want to get together and keep Weeksville here.
All right, that's phenomenal. So if you've been snowbound, got a little cabin fever, Weeksville is the place to find yourself tomorrow. DéLana, thank you so much for coming and twinning with me today.
Yeah, man.